Welcome back. I hope you all are enjoying your runs in Baldur's Gate 3. So Larian Studios just released another community update, a post-launch community update, and it goes over some interesting information, so I wanted to go over it in today's video. Let's jump right into it. Community update number 23. Here's to you. During the launch weekend, you played a combined 1,225 years of Baldur's Gate 3. Crazy to think about that, but at the same time, numbers like that don't really interest me that much. I want to know the concurrent players and also the total sales. And we're going to talk about concurrent players here momentarily because it's only gone up since my last video. And 368 of you managed to finish the game within that 3-day weekend. We salute you. If you finish the game within 3 days, you are a well-oiled gaming machine. That is actually insane. I don't know how some of you guys do that, but that's incredible. I hope you enjoyed your weekend and hopefully you do another run because some of us are going to be playing this game for years. Larian then goes on to say that since they launched the game last Thursday, we the players have taken it into the top 10 all-time most concurrent players on Steam. Those are numbers that I love to see and love to look more into. And if we go over to the Steam charts, you can see in 9th place of most played games on Steam, we have Baldur's Gate 3 with an all-time peak of 814,666. Kind of funny that it ended up on that. Players that were playing the game at the same time. That is incredible for a game like Baldur's Gate 3, which does technically fall into the CRPG category. You know, party-based games, they have deep dialogue systems, tend to be isometric in view, even though you can kind of get into the third person with Baldur's Gate 3, have point-and-click mechanics and things of that nature. To see a game that falls into that category in the top 10 of most played games on Steam, just behind Hogwarts Legacy and not that far behind Elden Ring and Cyberpunk, that is like, it's shocking. But it's incredible, and it's one of the coolest things ever, especially if you're a fan of this genre and you've kind of been living in more of the niche atmosphere for most of your life, for most of the CRPG history, and now all of a sudden you have a game that really just broke through and shows that players are interested in the genre. It just has to be done in a way that actually captivates them, and Larian Studios has clearly done that with Baldur's Gate 3. So really, really cool to see. And actually, now that I bring this up, there was a Reddit post earlier today where somebody's trying to organize people to play on Saturday, August 12th, between 12 p.m. PST and 7 p.m. PST. They want everyone to log in to try to get Baldur's Gate 3 to 1 million concurrent players. Now, BG3, I think, is down to like 500,000 something right now. Yeah, 575,000, which is still incredible. More than a week after release for a game like this. If it gets to 1 million, that would be really cool. I mean, of course, it's a little bit artificial, I guess, because they're trying to organize this. I don't care. Larian Studios deserves all the success. BG3 deserves the headlines. We need more companies to want to be like Larian. We need more Larian Studios out there. So, bravo to Larian Studios. Let's get back to the community update. 93% of you decided that your first journey through Baldur's Gate 3 will be with a custom character, which included the Dark Urge. That's a lot higher than I actually thought it would be. I thought it would have been like 70 or 80% custom characters and then 20 or 30% origin characters, especially with some of the origin characters' popularity throughout early access. People really latched on to characters like Astarion. I'm surprised that it's not higher for the origin characters. With that said, I think it's really cool that the vast majority of people created their own character and then got to experience this story from their own perspective as opposed to from the perspective of a pre-established character in the realms. With that said, it doesn't matter if you play it as an origin or custom character. Both experiences can be phenomenal, and it's whatever you prefer. But I still think it's pretty cool that most players went through the process of creating their own Forgotten Realms Dungeons and Dragons character. And on the same subject, we players have spent 88 years combined in the character creator. Speaking about origin characters, Gale was the #1 choice out of the few people that did play origin characters or have played origin characters up to this point, which is really surprising because let's face it, Astarion was the face of Baldur's Gate 3. And all of you diehard Astarion fans, I hate to say it, you guys let Astarion down and Gale took #1. Now with that said, I feel like Astarion will probably be the #1 choice after custom players finish their first run, but still, the crown goes to Gale. And actually, now that I think about it, it's probably because you wanted to romance Astarion and you can't really do that as yourself. So I know why now. Gale is also the 7th highest cause of death out of any other cause of death in the game. And I won't get into reasons why for spoilers, but he's still the #1 chosen origin character. And also, speaking of death, one NPC was shoved into a chasm for every player at our peak concurrent player count. Roughly 815,000 players shoved a certain annoying, horrible, disgusting NPC into a chasm. I am part of that statistic, and I am proud of it because I did not like that character and she was not very nice. Okay, she was super sweet, but sometimes the sweet ones got to go too. And moving on to the top race choices for custom characters and Dark Urge characters. And surprise, surprise, Half Elf has come out on top. Half Elf is just such a strong pick for a race in Dungeons and Dragons. And even though Larian did away with the ability scores being assigned to specific races in Baldur's Gate 3, I think so many people have just been playing Half Elves in D&D for so long that they don't even care. They're just going to keep playing a Half Elf in Baldur's Gate 3. Then we have humans in second place. Shout out. That's our people. Hell yeah. Represent in the Forgotten Realms. And then we have elves in third place. I actually played a wood elf on my first character because I wanted the movement speed boost. And I've always just loved, you know, elves of the woods. Just something that I've always been into. And then what the heck, man? What is wrong with you guys? Is it the wrinkly skin? Did you guys not watch E.T. when you were growing up? Like, what's going on here? Githyanki and dead last. Doesn't even look like it's 10% of the half elf. Now, with that said, I think the Githyanki race is going to become more popular on second and third runs through this game. I don't want to say why for spoiler reasons, but hopefully it does become more popular because this is probably one of the most unique race choices that you can make in terms of how the world will react to you and the unique dialogue that you're going to get in the game. And then in second to last place, halflings. Do we need a reboot of Lord of the Rings? Like, what the hell's going on here? Gnomes. Gnomes are cool, third to last, and then the most sad thing about all of this is dwarves in fourth to last place, one of the coolest races in all of fantasy. And you know what? If I could take it back, I would get rid of my stupid wood elf character and I would play a damn dwarf. Half orcs are also one of my favorite races too, and they look really, really cool in this game. I might have to play a half orc sometime in the near future. Then we have Dragonborn, you know, and Tiefling and Drow right here in the middle, which I think makes sense. So anyways, let's move on to the top class choices. And also, surprise, surprise, Paladin has come out on top. Paladin and Warlock, I knew they were going to be top picks. And Sorcerer is always one of the most popular picks in whatever game that you play. And I'm actually surprised to see the Wizard this far back. Now, with that said, these are the classes that players chose for their main character. And a lot of players are aware of what companions exist in the game. And of course, Gale is a wizard, so a lot of people might have planned to bring Gale with them in their party. And then Shadowheart's also a cleric. And also, it's important to, you know, take note here that the druid to the rogue, they're all fairly close. They're in like that 110 to 145k range. So no drastic differences here. They're all fairly popular. But I do want to say, if you're looking at this chart and you're looking at a class like the wizard and going, well, what the heck, man? Why does nobody like the wizard? Let me just tell you right now that I think the wizard might be the class that offers the most fun for your overall experience. Wizards learn the most spells out of any class in the game. They also have the largest spell list. And with that comes great opportunity in this game, whether it be combat or utility. You can do so much with the wizard class. And actually, on my main character run, I have Gale with me in my group, and he's a wizard. And on my other run, I don't have Gale, and I'm playing as a sorcerer, and Gale is not in that run. And I'm really feeling like I'm missing out on a lot. So just wanted to let you guys know that the wizard brings a lot, even though it might not sound as cool to be a wizard versus a warlock or a sorcerer. It really does bring so much opportunity and so much fun. And then in dead last, we have the cleric class by a huge margin. It might not even be half of the druid, and the druid's in second to last place. Now, with that said, a lot of people are probably planning on bringing Shadowheart with them in their group, so they don't need to play as a cleric themselves. I do think that's a big contributing factor as to why the wizard and the cleric are some of the least popular class choices here. But if you're looking at this chart and you're feeling discouraged and going, man, the cleric class must suck, just want to tell you right now, after over 1,000 hours in early access and a ton of time in the full game, I have 2 separate runs going and have a cleric in my group in both of those runs. The cleric might be the most powerful class. Seriously, not only is it versatile, you have a ton of subclass choices. You can be a cleric that has fireball as playing as a light domain cleric, or you can be a frontline heavy weapon wielding cleric as a war domain cleric. But the general cleric spell list, regardless of what subclass you choose, has some of the best spells in the game, hands down. So many spells that you can cast as a bonus action that do so much on a battlefield. Do so much. Seriously. Spiritual Weapon, Guardian of Faith. And then also, the cleric has these concentration AoE spells like Spirit Guardians, where you can just run around the battlefield. Don't even use your action. Just run to each enemy, dealing that AoE damage as the spirits whack into them. Such a good class. Do not let this chart make you think that it's not good, because I seriously think after my time right now, the cleric might be the best class. Seriously. And then Larian gave us a nice visual on the number of origin characters created, and 27,784 players played as Gale. Only 11,765 played as Lae'zel. What is up with you all in Githyanki? I'm starting to wonder what type of community I got going on here. Okay? And Karlak in second place. I'm actually kind of surprised. She also is an origin character that we didn't really get to experience in early access, so that might have something to do with it. She's also pretty cool. And then Astarion in third place here, Shadow fourth, and Will fifth, Lae'zel sixth. And then we got an opening weekend in numbers, and this first part deals with the Druid's Grove. So if that sounds like a spoiler to you, this is earlier on in Act 1, but if that sounds like a spoiler to you, perhaps you want to leave the video right now. I'll give you a second. So 34.9% of players assaulted the Druid's Grove. 65.1% saved the Druid's Grove. That is so much higher than I expected. I don't know if people just played early access so much and they played good that when the game finally came out, they just wanted to change it up and do something different. But I even did a poll on my channel here, and it said, generally speaking, what type of player will you be on your first run of Baldur's Gate 3? And only 8% of people out of 34,000 votes said evil, with 60% saying good, 23% neutral, 8% whatever gets me the most power. Now, just because you attack the Grove doesn't necessarily mean you're doing a pure evil run. You might be able to justify it some way in your RP, but still, I'm actually very surprised. I'm kind of proud of a lot of you all for assaulting the Grove. Doing evil in this game is actually quite fun. Seriously. It offers a lot of fun. It's not a worse experience than playing as a good player. You just have to step out of worrying too much about being a good person in a video game, and I understand why that's hard. Scratch has been petted over 750,000 times in the game. Players spoke to over 1.4 million corpses, and if you don't know how to speak to corpses in this game, you can find certain magical items in the game that will offer you the Speak with Dead spell, or you may get the spell as part of your spellcaster's spell list, such as the wizard class does get access to that spell. And basically, if you use it on corpses, you can get a ton of information. Sometimes it's information on the area that you're in, sometimes it's information on the quest that you're on, sometimes it's just general Forgotten Realms lore. Definitely recommend trying it if you haven't tried it yet. And players also spoke to more than 2.4 million animals in the game. And to speak with animals in Baldur's Gate 3, if you have the Speak with Animals spell, that will of course work. Or you can use the Speak with Animals potion if you find it. There's plenty of them around. Or you can be a druid and wild shape into an animal form and then speak to any of the animals that you come across. Larian really did put a lot of time into the content that deals with not only corpses, but also animals. And you may even get side quests from some of these animals. Highly entertaining. If you didn't know that you could do it, definitely, I would say, at least give it a try on a few of the animals that you come across. And then players have played for at least 10 million hours, or over 1,225 years. And then to end the article, Larian basically gives a big thank you. I think this game, its launch is much more successful than they anticipated, which is just so great to hear, because clearly they are a good company. I've known of them for a very long time, but I've been following them fairly closely for 4+ years now, and I really just, they are a diamond in the rough, and we need more companies to want to strive to be like Larian versus trying to be like some gigantic corporation who has, you know, shares in the stock market and investors from a million different countries putting deadlines on things that they don't even understand. So we need more Larian studios. So very happy for their success. They also said that they'll have a roadmap for hotfixes and patches, or we have a roadmap for hotfixes and patches. They don't publish the roadmaps because they need the freedom to push and pull things around when unforeseen things happen, but clearly Larian has been pushing out things and they're working on this, so really great to hear. Thank you all so much for watching. I'll catch you on the next one.